Hey guys, last night somebody reached out to me and asked if I could do an Ubuntu virtualization video. So I thought I'd take just a few minutes. I've been using Ubuntu off and on for more than 10 years. I actually ran it as my primary operating system, my desktop, for a couple of years, back in like 2004, 2005, kind of that time frame. And obviously it has changed quite a bit since then. But the virtualization for Ubuntu is super easy. So let's just go ahead and jump into getting those virtualizations set up, getting a desktop set up, getting all the updates done, and we'll just go from there. Okay guys, so here we are on the Ubuntu website, where we're going to have lots of different options as far as what we want to download and get more information about, whether it's upcoming events or, there are different versions of Ubuntu, whether it's for clouds or servers or desktops or whatever. Mostly we're just going to be focused on desktop stuff here, but if you want to get more information about Ubuntu, you can definitely do this, outside of this video, maybe once you're done, maybe before you get started on this video. But there's a lot more information here about Ubuntu if you're interested in getting that. But what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Downloads. We're going to click on Desktop down over here. Here we've got a couple of different options. We can do the Ubuntu 16.04.3. That's the LTS version. That means long-term support. That's going to give us, like it says here, 5 years of support till 2021. So that's great. Means it's already been out for a couple of years. So we can still get about 3 more at this point. It's going to give you some information as far as how much stuff you're going to need as far as resources are concerned. So good information to have when we get started. Below that, they do have the version 17.10.1. We're not going to do that one. I've got that one. I've used it. We're going to go with the LTS just because it is the long-term support version of the operating system. Now, I've already got it downloaded, so we're not going to download it in this video because it may take a few minutes, but you do have a few different options. You can download it from their server. If you go here, you're given the option to donate. I would ethically be inclined to donate if I was downloading from here, because they've got servers to maintain and that sort of thing. But because I like to use peer-to-peer networks for downloading Ubuntu, I'm not going to worry about that. I've already downloaded this. In fact, I've got it right here. So we're going to close that, but just know that there are several different ways that you can get the operating system. Again, whether it's downloading from their server or from peer-to-peer networks, that choice is completely up to you. So we're going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to go ahead and remove this one. We don't really care about all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new, just like we normally do. Oops, let's spell it correctly there. So we've got an Ubuntu Linux 64-bit. Luckily, like it always does, it changed it to the proper version of Linux for what we're doing here. So, excuse me, I'll go ahead and click Next. It says that it needs 2. I like to give them 4 gigs of RAM there, so I'm going to click Next. We always create the virtual disk. That's just fine. So we're going to go ahead and click Create. We're going to use the VirtualBox disk image. That seems pretty standard since we're using VirtualBox. We'll click Next. We're going to go dynamically allocated, just because it's not going to immediately knock out a huge chunk of your hard drive. It's going to let you use up to that amount of disk space. So I'm a big fan of using dynamically allocated disks here. So we're going to go and click Next. Ubuntu, this is fine, but we want to move it off of our C drive. We want to put it over here on a bigger hard drive versus an SSD here. So I'm just going to go down to VirtualBox. I've got a folder here for Ubuntu, and I'm just going to save it right in there. And I'm like it's set on the website. It needs at least 25 gigs, so I'm going to go ahead and give it that. You know what? I lied. I'm going to give it 50 just because. And then we'll go ahead and click Create here. I'm going to right-click and go to Settings, just like we always do. There's really nothing under the General tab that we need to change here for any of this. Under System, though, I want to give it an extra processor. Make sure that you've got acceleration turned on in here, and also make sure that you've got virtualization turned on in your BIOS. I answer a lot of questions, and the answer is always almost always in this case. Go check your BIOS. Make sure you've got virtualization enabled. For some reason, a lot of people don't have it enabled when they try to get into this stuff. So if you're new to virtualization, go make sure you've got it in your BIOS and make sure you've got it turned on. So next we'll go into the display. I always jack that up to 128 megs because that's all it lets me do. Under storage, I'm going to go ahead and remove that attachment, but I am going to add a new one. I'm going to choose a disk. And I'm going to go over to my storage, my mass storage drive. I'm going to go into my torrents, and I'm going to go into Ubuntu 16.04.3. That should be fine. Audio is fine. Network, you can just leave as NAT if you want to connect to the internet, which you probably will want to do. And then really from there, nothing else here really needs to be changed. If you've got serial ports, COM ports, things like that you want to do and share, you can do that here. If you want to share USB devices, you can do that. Mouse and keyboard should work by default. But if you wanted to share external hard drives, things like that, you would do that right in here. So let me double check. Let me make sure that I've got all this stuff looking the way I want it to. Sometimes, for whatever reason, these don't take, and I always like to come back in here and check. So everything in here looks fine. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and we're going to go ahead and start it. Or just by double clicking on that item there, and then hopefully there it goes. All right. So if we get this down here, that lets us know that it's going. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this in the background. And we'll give it just a second here to do what it's got to do. And there's our 16.04 loading screen. Depending on the amount of resources and things like that that you're able to allocate to this, this may go faster or slower for you than it's going for me. I'm on a fairly old system, to be completely honest, and it seems to be going just fine. Here we've got a couple of options. We can either just try it as a live CD. I figure we're here, we may as well install. Make sure that you select your language, whatever language you want it to be installed in. They do have a bunch of them. So if English isn't your thing, have at. But I just speak English, so that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to go ahead and click install. And we'll give this a second. Download updates, yeah, why not? No point in doing this later. We will manually force some updates later just to make sure, but let it do as much of the work as possible from the beginning. In the meantime, we're also going to let it install stuff for your graphics card, your Wi-Fi. It'll install Flash, which I think is terrible, but whatever. But it's going to install a bunch of the typical mundane stuff that you don't want to have to be bothered with every time you install an operating system. So we're going to go ahead and let it do both of those things. We're going to click continue. And there we go. Yeah, we want to go ahead and erase the disk and install Ubuntu. That's fine. You could encrypt this if you wanted to add an extra level of security, or you could use the logical volume management system. We're not going to worry about either of those. We want to keep these installations basic at this point. This is going to be very entry-level stuff. So we're not going to do anything other than erase the disk and install Ubuntu here. So we'll click install now. Again, we'll give it a couple of seconds. Yep, are you sure this is what you want to do? It sure is. So I'm going to click continue. It does give you the option to go back and make changes if you need to, though. And I do appreciate that. So we're going to go ahead and click continue because we're good with those choices that we've made there. And we'll give it, there we go. I am actually real close to Denver. I'm in the mountain time zone, so we're going to leave that where it is. And I will then click continue. And like I said, I'm just a native English-only speaker, so keyboard layout English, English US. If you're one of those crazy people that uses like Dvorak or something, you could do that. Lots of different variations there that you could use if you wanted to. Again, we're going to keep it simple and click continue. Computer name, I'm just going to call it Ubuntu. There we go. And that's fine. That's going to be the you know what I like, DB Tech, because, why not? And I'm just going to give it a weak password because this is just for my virtualization purposes. And I'm going to do something even worse and tell it to log me in automatically. I don't recommend doing this if you're in a shared work environment. If you're sharing a computer with a sibling or whatever, if you want to make sure that they're not able to mess with your operating system, your install, your whatever, I wouldn't have it log in automatically. I would give it a real password. So yeah, just throwing that in there. So we'll go ahead and click continue. In this, luckily it's been running a bunch of stuff in the background, so I really dig that it's been proactive about a lot of that stuff. So basically at this point we're just going to let it run. There's really nothing else we can do. It's going to copy some files, and then it's going to run some updates, and it's going to do a lot of stuff in the background, or really I guess in the foreground. It's been doing stuff in the background, but it's going to do its thing. Nothing that we can do here. So this is a good time if you're doing this, maybe go grab a drink like I'm about to do. Whatever the case may be, again, the speed that this will take, or the amount of time this will take, will depend on the amount of resources you were able to allocate to it. So yeah, quick break and I'll be right back. Okay, so that's really all there is to the install process itself. So of course now next thing will be to restart now, just like it says right there. So we'll go click that, and by default usually it will automatically remove that, but let's make sure. Let's go into settings. It wants us to make sure that we've removed that ISO that we had in here, and it did, so we're good to go there. So I'll go ahead and minimize that, and I'll click enter. And it'll go ahead and reboot. And if all went well, it should just boot us directly into our desktop. Now again, this is a first boot, so it will take a little bit longer than future boots will. It's got to configure some stuff and run some stuff, and it's doing stuff in the background that will make this first boot take a little longer. Boots moving forward, anytime you get in here, it shouldn't take quite as long as this one. And there we go, and immediately you get some keyboard shortcuts here that you can get familiar with. Of course, I want to make this full screen. And hey, well, you look at that. It actually went full screen without having any issues here. So I'm very, very stoked about that. I'm going to go ahead and close this window, maybe. Maybe. Did I break it? Maybe I broke it. That's all right. No worries. What I am going to do here is actually go up here to Devices. I'm going to insert the Guest Edition CD image just so we get the maximum compatibility here. Yeah, there we go. Yep, contains software intended to be automatically started. Would you like to run it? Yes, I would. And we're going to enter our password. Click OK. So now it's going to go through this install process. Take it just a few seconds, not nearly as long as doing the install. Maybe 30 or 45 seconds. Maybe not even that long. We'll see. Cool, so that is done. As per usual here, I do want to just go ahead and run the terminal here, and I want to say sudo reboot. Just because sometimes things don't always take effect until you reboot, and because we're talking about compatibility stuff here, I want to make sure that everything is installed so that we don't have any glitches or any of that kind of stuff going on there. So that's a pretty easy way to handle all of that, and then it should again just boot us right back into our desktop. And we're getting a mouse cursor, so that's a good sign. Hey, look at that. All right. Okay, and so next thing we're going to do is we're going to open up, I don't even know what that's actually called. I've always just clicked it. Search. All right, cool. So we're just going to go ahead and launch terminal there. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to say sudo apt get update, and it's going to want my password. And this is just going to make sure that everything is updated, and that we've got the most current version of everything in the system there. And chances are this won't actually, yeah, so because we did all of the updates while we were doing the install, this isn't going to really have anything to do here. And it's kind of that trade-off. You can install the system faster if you don't select, the install updates and all that kind of stuff, but you end up having to do it in the desktop at some point anyway, so really it ends up being 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. You may as well just do it during install and not have to worry about it. But just to make sure, apt get upgrade. And again, this shouldn't, I guess it is going to have a little bit of stuff to do here, so we're going to go ahead and say yes. I'm actually kind of surprised by that, but we're going to go ahead and let this run. And then we should be good to go here. Also, I guess while this is doing its thing, I can bring up something that somebody else mentioned in a past video where apparently I failed. You can see here that obviously we've got Ubuntu running in this VirtualBox, but down here at the bottom we've still got this Windows, we've still got our Windows stuff here at the bottom. If you want to really get the immersive experience for Ubuntu or really whatever operating system you're virtualizing here, if you use the control button on the right side of your keyboard, and it really does have to be the control button on the right side, I don't believe the left side will work, but if you press Control and F, darn it here, you're going to get this saying that it wants to go full screen. In fact, here you can see that note the host key is currently defined as the right control. So by default, you got to use the right control key and the F key to make this happen. If you click switch, then all of a sudden we're truly full screen. No more Windows interruptions at the bottom or any of that stuff. And if you want out, again, just Control F. It'll bring you right back out of it and give you back. Or take you back to that more virtualized thing where you got Windows at the bottom. Okay, so that's fine. Again, I was making jokes about Flash from the beginning. We're not going to worry about that. Okay, so there we go. That should be all of the updates and upgrades and all that kind of stuff that we're going to need for Ubuntu to run effectively. Of course, just for the sake of making sure that everything is working properly, we're going to go ahead and do one more reboot. And there we are, back at our desktop. Let's open up Firefox just to make sure that we've got full internet connectivity here. So we're going to go ahead and open this up. We'll let it open up all of its stuff like it always does the first time. We're just going to go to fast.com because that's where I always go. And there we go. Yeah, I think we're doing okay for our internet connection. Yep. All right. So cool deal. Okay, guys, so there you have it. Just a quick process to go through as far as getting Ubuntu installed, at least in virtualization anyway. If you wanted to install this on, as a main operating system, whether it's on your PC or your laptop or whatever, the process is basically identical. But still very, very simple to get set up and get going with Ubuntu. Again, I'm a big fan of virtualization. It lets you try out something new without having to give up the comfort of your Windows or your Mac experience. So again, if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, give the video a thumbs up. Helps me in the channel out a ton. I know you guys are tired of hearing it, but I gotta say it. Also, if you're new here, I've got lots of new videos like this coming out, and if you're interested in this kind of stuff, hit the subscribe button so you can be notified when those videos come out. If you're not aware, recently, yesterday, I think, I broke 800 subscribers on this channel, and I'm super stoked about that. So I actually started a giveaway. So I'm actually giving away a Raspberry Pi and a full kit with a case and some data cables and some power cables and a 32 gig micro SD card and that sort of thing. If you're interested in entering that contest, I will have a link in the description down below to the video where I talk more about that. So definitely check that video out and get entered for that 800 subscriber giveaway. The way things are going, I'm going to have to turn it into like 1,000 subscriber giveaways. So go check that video out as well. That would be amazing. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up there. If there's any other videos you guys would like to see, definitely let me know. Like I said last night, somebody reached out to me, asked me to make this video, so here we are. I really do enjoy making these videos for you guys. For a number of reasons. One, because I like helping people, but also it kind of lets me get in there and kind of get my hands dirty again in an area where I haven't had a chance to play around very much in a while. So again, if you've got any questions or comments or suggestions or anything, leave those in the comments below. Go check out the giveaway video in the description down below, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.